Today is the day
we're going to talk about fiber optics. Because it'll be fun. The only problem with talking about fiber optics for too long is that, oh well, we're not talking about fiber optics. Helium tank. Go figure. Okay, now, when you're working with fiber optics, it's almost empty, can you tell? If I do too much of that, I'm going to get lightheaded and pass out because there's no oxygen. Helium displaces oxygen in your airflow. And, well, too much of that, and your body's not getting the oxygen it needs. So I'm putting that away. I thought that would be fun. Anyhow, we're going to talk about fiber optics. So let me drop the camera down to a proper viewing angle where I have some fiber. Okay? Now, the challenges of working with fiber are, 1, drilling holes. When you're drilling holes in something like this, they have to be centered or it's going to look funny. I don't know how many times I've seen photos, and I'm guilty of doing this, where people are putting in their windows in their starships and they don't keep a straight line and they're not evenly spaced. And because of that, you can see the fibers and it looks off. Okay? So you gotta center your holes. So here's my suggestion. You start with a tiny drill bit. Drill a pilot hole. It's easy to center a small drill bit. It's hard to center a big drill bit. Not only that, the bigger drill bits will jump around on you while you're trying to start the hole. The small ones won't. So start with a small drill bit. Now, I've amassed a collection of drill bits over the years, and I've put them in here sorted by relative size. They're not sorted exactly by size. I have 2 or 3 sets that are. I bought them off eBay and paid very little money for them, so that's why they're like this. Then anyhow, you can take a micrometer, get the size you need that way, and then measure the drill bit that way. Start with a small hole, work your way bigger. If it's not quite centered, take your drill bit and wobble it out a little bit so when you go to the next size up, it's centered. Okay? And just work your way up and you'll get it done. It'll be fine. Once you get your hole drilled, you got to thread your fiber optic. Now, the hole I drilled on these is almost the same size as the fiber optic, and you can see I have a hard time moving them. This is 3mm fiber optic, and it doesn't like to bend. It's very rigid, and because it doesn't like to bend, it's pretty much going to hold itself in place. So I'm good where it is. I'm leaving the ends extended out way further than I need for one reason. Paint. I don't have to mask them if I leave them like this. When I'm done painting, I just snip the ends off. Okay? You can fire polish them down. You can polish them down with a soldering iron. Okay? To clean up the ends after you cut them, because they look funny if they're not flat or round. So we're going to have to fix these two after I cut them so they don't look good. What do you glue them with? Can you glue them with super glue? This is Gorilla Super Glue for that long curing experience. Seriously, this stuff can take a minute before it starts to set, or it sets instantly. I haven't figured it out yet, because sometimes I'll put the part down and I can't move it, and other times it's still moving 2 minutes later. But for the most part, this doesn't set immediately, and that's why I use it. It gives me a little bit of time. Do not use that on fiber optics. It will eat through the fiber, weaken it, not transmit light, they break, all sorts of bad things happen. Super glue is no bueno. Moto glue. This is a solvent. The solvent dissolves the styrene, allowing it to melt together to form a bond. Okay, when the solvent leaves, the plastic rehardens. That's what this is. Fiber optic is not styrene. This will not work on fiber optic. It will eat fiber optic and cause it to be weak and brittle. Don't use it. Okay, so now what do we do? Okay, A couple of things, and I'm looking for them, and it figures I would not be prepared like normal for this segment. That's because I've had to move everything because I'm moving. Give me a minute. I'll come back in a second and explain what to do. All right, here's what you can use. Oh, I left one of them behind. Abe's Epoxy Sculpt. Stuff works. It's epoxy. It's called Epoxy Sculpt. It is an epoxy. It will not harm the fiber optics. And it's basically a soft curing glue. Okay? To me, a surface primer. No, don't use this. That's paint. Microcrystal clear. Yeah, this stuff works great for holding it in place. I like it better than Elmer's glue. This is a wood glue version, but it's basically the same stuff. Old PVA glue. This stuff works. This stuff works. This does not dry clear. This dries clear. Neither one of these will hurt the fiber optics. Okay? And my preferred choice is 5-minute epoxy. I quit buying it in the syringes and started buying it like this because, well, I get to use the whole bottle. It's expensive this way, but seriously, guys, when you get to use the whole bottle up, you don't care so much. Okay? You're actually saving money buying it that way. Any of those glues will work. I'm going to use the epoxy. Now, before I do the epoxy, I got to get set up for the fibers. And what I'm doing next is I am going to get, and unfortunately for me, I put it someplace that I should not. So another ill-prepared moment in my life, but not too ill-prepared, because I have a good idea where it is. Some brass tubing. Oh, yeah, I see it. It's in the wrong compartment that I opened. I have all my lighting supplies organized in snap cases. That's what you're hearing snapping. Now, you've seen me use the brass cutter. I like to use this brass tubing right here. This one's pre-cut. I need to clean the ends up for working with fibers. One, light doesn't go through brass. So when I put this down, there's minimal light blocking. Okay? I don't have to worry about light traveling through anywhere. I just have to light block the two ends. And then the light travels through the fibers. Second, well, it's kind of cool. I got brass. Okay? So I'm going to glue this down to the base. I'm going to wire my LED in the back end of it. The fibers go on the other end. And these being big fibers, they're going to fit in there just fine. Just the two of them. They're not going to get much else in there. Okay? I can already tell that I'm going to have to do it in this here, which means more holes. I got to either notch this or hole it, and I think I'd rather hole it. Drilling a hole in something like this will keep the structural integrity intact. Cutting a notch in it will allow it to be flexible. I don't really think that's going to be much of an issue with this model, but I'm still just going to drill holes and put it right here. So I'm going to get out the Tamiya handy drill and drill a couple of holes in here. And I gotta clean the edges of this up so it's not so bad. And then I just stick, again, the LED in one end, the fibers in the other, glue it all down, throw some epoxy in a few places. That's done. Okay? So that's basic fiber 101. You just gotta drill holes, glue your fiber down, put it in brass tubes. You don't have to use brass tubes, I just like to. They work better. I've seen people where they rubber band or tie it, put a zip tie or something around the end of the fibers, and then they just kind of glue the fibers on the end of the LED. Yeah, whatever works, you know, whatever makes you happy. That's the big one, what makes you happy. This is simple, okay? Now, today I have to decide the voltage I'm going to use on this thing for both this and the TIE Fighter because, well, the voltage matters. I'm starting to lean towards 9 volts on these two, simply because of what I want to do with the display stands. 9 volts would work better. Okay? So let me get busy. I'm going to clean up the ends of this little brass tube. I'm going to get out a warm white LED. The engines are cool white. The front lamps were warm white. That was very clear on the video. All right. Second, I think you guys can see I didn't get a complete smooth color coat here. That was done on purpose. Okay. Some of you are thinking, yeah, you just didn't do it and you're too lazy to fix it. No, really, seriously. I did that on purpose so it has some variation to it. Because real metal is not all one solid color. Okay? It was done on purpose. Seriously. Alright, I'm going to get working on LEDs and wiring and figuring out voltages. I need to see how long a 9-volt battery is going to last when you have like 5 LEDs wired up to it. Because I don't think it's going to last long enough to use a 9-volt battery. One of the problems I noticed when going to model shows is there's no power provided by the display area. So if you wire it to a wall, you cannot light up your model at a model show. So this is one of the reasons why I'm thinking about going with batteries. And if I do the display stand a certain way, 2D batteries will power the thing for weeks. Whereas a 9-volt battery might only give me a couple hours. And that's a consideration. I have to go downstairs. I got all that typed up somewhere. And see how long a 9-volt battery is going to last. I'm going to go. I'll come back and tell you what I find.